to this week's episode of Net Know the Networking Show. And this week, we're talking about booze. The drink, the booze. It's something I get asked quite often about when it comes to going to networking events. Alcohol can play a massive role in it. It can loosen us up a bit. It can make us feel a bit more relaxed and informal in an environment. It makes the small talk a bit easier, but it can also be a bit of a minefield. So full disclosure, I've been sober for just over 5 years now, so alcohol is no longer a part of my life. But back in the day, I did used to drink alcohol at networking events, and I drank a lot of it. And I had a great time, don't get me wrong, but it didn't serve me anymore, so it was time to walk away. So for me, I found it easier. Alcohol, I had a negative relationship with, so I just no longer drink. It's just easier not to do. But I wanted just to share some, maybe some thoughts and ideas and maybe some tips to how to navigate it. And everyone, I think it's important to recognize that everyone's got their own unique relationship with alcohol. And if you're someone that can have a few drinks and have a great time, absolutely wonderful. I was never that person. I was never able to be that person. If I had one drink, I was partying until the early hours and then I fell asleep and that was me. But a lot of people can just have a few drinks. And this is my first point that I wanted to make on alcohol at networking events. It's knowing what works for you, and it's knowing your relationship with alcohol. And obviously from a perspective of networking events, this is a professional environment. It is, regardless of, the format of the event, the location of it. It can be fun, it can be relaxing, and it should be. But at the same time, you are there for professional reasons. You are there to, build your personal brand, to raise your company's profile, to make professional connections that can impact your career. And the last thing that I would want you to do is to have alcohol be the downfall for you, especially in environments that should be nurturing relationships and a fantastic opportunity to make connections. So firstly, think about your relationship with alcohol. Does alcohol something that you are best off, just not having any? Especially if it's going to be free, because sometimes when it's free, it can be even more exciting and we drink a lot more. Also, when we're nervous and socially anxious, which networking environments can be an absolute stimulus for that, makes us feel more uncomfortable. We're more inclined to drink more, and therefore we can quickly spiral, essentially. Also think what kind of a person you are when you've had a few drinks. So are you someone who, ends up becoming a bit more quieter and reserved when you drink, or does it make you more of an extrovert and more chatty? Are you able to still focus on a conversation and really listen to the people you're talking to? Maybe you're better if you have like a limit for yourself. So maybe 2 or 3 drinks works for you. Anything above and beyond that, then you're dancing on the tables. Again, I don't want you to wake up the day after a networking event and think, oh my word, what did I do last night? My boss was there. My colleagues were there, Christmas party vibes, that kind of thing. You don't want that after a networking event. I've had it, promise you, you don't want it. So thinking about maybe setting yourself a limit and knowing what works for you, really important. Another option is to, if you are going to a networking event, especially one with going with a colleague or a friend, talk to each other beforehand. So say to each other, right, you might say to your friend, look, if you see me spiraling, then you come and stop me. You take me away from the situation. Or maybe we just go 2 drink limit tonight, and then after that, we'll switch to the soft drinks together. If you've got someone to do it together with and just someone that you can team up with, give each other yourselves, that moral support in an environment where, again, it depends on the type of networking event you're at. But if, for example, it's a Christmas party, that is still a networking event. Or if it's like a black tie dinner versus it could be pizza and beer kind of vibes, knowing what kind of event it is going to, again, be an indicator on the type of etiquette that's expected. Like a black tie dinner, you don't want to be doing shots at the bar and like falling over. Again, I've been there. Trust me, you don't want to be doing it. Or, if it's more pizza, beer, relaxed kind of vibes, again, maybe just a couple. But knowing the event, knowing yourself, speaking to friends that are also going to be in attendance with you, so you've got that mutual agreement beforehand, and then it makes it easier not to fall into the peer pressure that might exist. Because again, when it comes to alcohol, and I've experienced it like a lot of people, it can be easier to drink than not to drink. So maybe even thinking about, if you know that you're someone that's not going to be able just to have a couple and stop, then just say, right, I'm not going to drink. I'm going to take the car, and then I'm driving, and then it means I've got no temptation. I've got no ability to. On the flip side to that, if you are someone, like I said at the beginning, who can just have a few drinks, then go and enjoy yourself. Do it. But please don't be someone who forces it on others, because just be mindful that not everyone at the event is going to be like you and is able just to have a couple of drinks. There's also things to consider around like cultural differences where alcohol just isn't part of their life. So again, if you are someone that can drink and drink happily and it's not an issue for you, absolutely amazing. Just be aware at networking events of indirectly forcing it onto others, which I know that you would never intentionally do, but that peer pressure can, just have one, why don't you just have a one with us? Those kind of things often can make people feel uncomfortable, and we don't want to do that. We want to include everyone, whether you're a drinker or a non-drinker. So it goes for the hosts as well. Make sure that there's speak to the host, make sure that there's non-alcoholic options. Most of the time there is, and they're fantastic. Love a bit mocktail or an alcohol-free beer. Makes you feel like you're having a drink even though you're not. So yeah, have conversations with people, talk to about it, but essentially just know what works for you. And make sure that you are, if you are drinking or if you're not drinking, that you're being inclusive and welcoming of everyone. And yeah, that is it for this one. So I'd love to know what your experiences are with alcohol and networking. Does it work for you? Does it not work for you? Are you someone who's had good experiences, bad experiences? Let me know in the comments. Get in touch. And as always, like, share, comment if you've enjoyed this podcast. And hopefully I shall see you next week.
A Liquid Studios production.